Right, so I have another unpopular opinion. Obviously, you guys know I've been making much PC videos lately because I don't own a computer anymore. I'll own one in the near future, but for now, I'm just gonna try and sort of bring in more variety content. And again, today I have another topic I want to speak about, and that is the UFC again. So today we are covering the 293 card, or more particularly just the storyline that sort of stemmed from the main event, the culmination of the main event, right? So Sean Strickland was not supposed to be Adesanya. Now, I I told my friend, my good friend Jan, who I discuss things with all the time, that you know what, like Strickland shouldn't beat Adesanya, but if there was someone that was going to present a skill set potentially capable of doing so, aside from Puatan, who just hits like a brick, right? Who just, I mean, he could take anyone out, right? You can get knocked up by Pereira at any time, at any point in a fight with him. Um, I actually was pretty stressed for Pereira because I wanted to see Pereira versus Adesanya because I thought it'd be a cool matchup, but I was worried that Poatan would get beaten by Strickland in a 3 round fight because I thought to myself like Strickland's style is really, really consistent. It's a very consistent style. Believe it or not, you might not think so, but if you watch Strickland fight, I mean, Strickland never gets tired, first of all. Second of all, he's got a great chin. I mean, you could say, oh, he got slipped by Poatan, but I mean, anyone can slip by Poatan. Like, I mean, anyone can. Strickland's got a great chin. He's very tough. He's got good grappling. Good grappling. He's a strong guy. He's good. He's a good size for the division. He's not too big and bulky and not too small and scrawny. He's decently tall. He's got fairly good reach and he's got a great jab. And he's very consistent. He doesn't fight a weird fight. And he's always confident in the octagon. He's never looking like uncomfortable. He's always fighting his fight, because he spars a lot. So he's got a very consistent style, and the consistency you get from sparring a lot because you know, he practices a lot. So that's why he's so consistent. Now, Strickland's losses, his notable losses. Kamaru Usman was a welterweight, but the Kamaru Usman in his prime was an absolute animal. Arguably, I felt like Usman actually kind of beat Edwards in the second fight. I mean, you can hate me if you want. I watched the Weasels breakdown where apparently Edwards actually did beat him on like pure damage, but I don't know. Like I don't know. I During the fight I was like, I don't know. Kamaru seems like he's winning this, like not by a mile, but like sort of. I felt like he was winning. I love Leon, but I really did feel like Kamaru was beating that second fight, but neither here nor there. Whatever. I still think Usman is probably the best welterweight in the world. I mean, call me crazy, but I still believe that. Not that I even like the guy. I just think he's incredible. I think that he's a great fighter. Um, him beating Strickland is no surprise. Strickland's got good grappling, but Usman's grappling is just next level. Usman's jab is next level. Usman's head movement is next level. Usman's very tough. Strickland, versus Usman. Usman's just a better fighter. Usman, in some ways, is like a very similar fighter to Strickland, just better grappling, more heavily relies on the grappling, and otherwise, like, very similar. Throws the jab a lot, pretty much. Just the jab fighter. Just like fights behind the jab, throws kicks here and there, grapples when he needs to, pressures down his opponents. Very similar fighters, believe it or not. Strickland, he was absolutely insane for a few years. I mean, unbeatable. Until he lost to Poatan, which, I mean, I don't know, man. I felt like that was kind of unlucky because when I was watching the fight, seeing Strickland move, seeing him pressure down Poatan, and then seeing, how he wasn't afraid to engage and whatever, and like they were trading and whatever, and I was like, you know what? I think if Alex keeps going like this, eventually Strickland's gonna take him down and just hold him down, and it's gonna be no contest. Like there's gonna be no contest on the ground. Um, so I was like, yo, Strickland's got this. Like, he surely got this fight. He's going to edge a 3 rounder. He drops his hands and gets knocked out. That's like, I mean, I was shocked. I was like, wow. Like, Alex Pereira really just, like, he just, one left hook and that was that. Lights out. I was like, damn, okay, well. I mean, I felt like Strickland was going to win that fight, but that left hand just ended him. I mean, is what it is, right? Same thing happened to Izzy. I mean, Izzy was winning that fight by a mile. Like, it was like four. It was like 4-0 or 3-1. It was like, yeah, going to the fifth round. It was almost a clear win for Izzy in the last, what, like 2 minutes, and he gets like freaking TKO'd. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, Alex Pereira's got some ridiculous power, man. But yeah, so Strickland versus Cannonier, I watched that fight. I thought Cannonier did enough to win. I really did. I think he did enough to win. I think the Cannonier's got a very tough chin. I don't think Cannonier's been slept before. I think he's got a very good chin. And he's got good grappling. I mean, he doesn't get taken down a whole lot. So, yeah, I thought Cannonier, man, he was a really good. He had a really good skill set to beat Strickland. Because, like, Cannonier wouldn't get hurt the same way that someone else would get hurt by Strickland's jab, right? And Cannonier as well, he has good head movement. He's got good strike accuracy, good strike power. He does good damage. I mean, yeah. So Cannonier versus Strickland, I think that it was a very, very close fight. I mean, it was like a split decision, right? So it was a very, very close fight. But yeah, I think Cannonier did enough to edge Strickland. However, styles make fights, right? The matchup makes a fight, and Cannonier's style just is not. It's not pressuring enough. He doesn't land enough to get the better of someone like Izzy. Strickland's style, I mean, Strickland's ability to check Izzy's kicks. Oh my goodness, that was huge. When I saw him do that, because I knew he could check kicks. You could see he checks kicks if you watch his Abuse fight, right? Even his Nasruddin Imavov fight, he checks kicks, right? Now, most guys Izzy fights never check his kicks. If you watch Izzy's fights, Izzy might not be landing initially, right? He might not be pressuring initially. He's always on the outside usually. I mean, he's a counter strike. He doesn't always pressure. I mean, unless he can, but he doesn't look for the pressure. He sometimes does when someone's vulnerable, like against Costa, but generally he's on the outside. Now, when Izzy doesn't have much success with the hands initially, he just starts punishing the guy's legs or punishing his sides, going for the head with the question mark kick, whatever. So yeah, like Izzy completely dismantles opponents with leg work, pretty much just leg strikes, and he's usually got many successful, significant leg strikes in a fight when the fight ends. I mean, arguably speaking, Izzy gets more leg strikes than fist strikes. I mean, his leg striking is incredibly accurate usually. Which I'm not saying it wasn't this time around, but when you have a guy like Strickland who actually has the ability to check kicks consistently, which is not something you see very, very often. It's kind of rare actually. Yeah, man, like Strickland was checking his leg kicks, he was checking his high kicks, he was blocking side kicks, he was blocking everything. Izzy looked like he was like, shit, like this is like my game plan. I usually use the strategy to really pick apart my opponents, and it wasn't working. Because Strickland had his leg mobility rather. Whereas like Costa, for example, lost his leg mobility in like the first round. The first round was done, Costa's leg was gone. After a few leg kicks or attempted leg kicks, Strickland was blocking so many that, I mean, arguably if you watch the fight, Izzy was starting to become like gun shy. Like he was not throwing as much, and he's not throwing with as much power. I mean, you can see how the checks really affected Izzy's confidence, because the moment he starts getting checked like a few times in a row, he's like, oh shit, like this guy can actually check my kicks. And now he's like, I can't throw with like too much power because I'm gonna get really hurt. So, yeah, Strickland fights behind the jab, and honestly, I mean, I want to compare it to like Silva versus Weidman, but it's kinda like a Silva versus Weidman fight. I mean, similar, like Strickland behind the jab. He's the clear favorite in the grappling department. So Izzy, the threat of the takedown was always there. Izzy's back's against the fence, so he's got to change up his stance to make sure that if Strickland shoots for a takedown against the fence, that he's not super vulnerable. So Izzy's in the back of his mind's always thinking, I've got to make sure this guy doesn't take me down. This guy's pressuring me. This guy's checking my kicks. Strickland's jabbing me the whole time. His jab's hurt, and all of a sudden gets dropped, right? Yeah, man. Strickland won that fight in the first round. The first round, you could see he was going to win the fight. It was like, it's just the style matchup. Stylistic nightmare for Izzy. it's crazy, but stylistic nightmare. And honestly, it was really amazing to see how everyone counted Strickland out, but Strickland's style really was the counter to Izzy style, which is kind of crazy. No one really saw that coming. I mean, I thought there was a possibility. I mean, there was a part of me that thought, it might be possible. But let's be real, Izzy's insanely good. I mean, it was like, if you thought Izzy wasn't going to win, wasn't more likely to win, rather, you were either like, you knew something most of us didn't, or like, I don't know, because like, Izzy usually finds an answer to all his opponents, and he's fights some really good opponents. So I don't know. Crazy. Now, to get to what I wanted to get to, which is, what should we do next? Where from here? Okay. We all know that in like a week and maybe 2 weeks, 2 weeks now from now, in Abu Dhabi, Costa's fighting Makhachev. Now I know this, Dubronx versus, sorry, Costa's fighting Chimaev. I know Dubronx versus Makhachev is the main event. I'm looking forward because I love Charles Oliveira, but the thing is, I kind of think that Chimaev versus Costa is actually like the fight of the night. It's probably going to be the fight of the night. So, yeah, Costa versus Chimaev, insane fight. I don't actually know who's going to win. I'm calling it down the middle. I'm giving it to Costa. Okay, I'm giving it to Costa for reasons like I can elaborate on, but I don't know because like Chimaev could beat him. I don't know. It's hard to call. It really depends what Costa you get in the octagon that night. It really depends. Now, it is a 3-round fight, so it does help Costa. However, he did fight Vettori 5 rounds. He looked pretty good in that 5-round fight, so I don't know. I felt like Costa beat Vettori, honestly. I think he beat him. I think he just edged Marvin. I think Costa deserved the Marvin fight. I don't think he deserved to lose that fight. He obviously got TKO'd by Izzy, but the Marvin fight, I don't feel like he was treated fairly. I felt like the Marvin fight was hard done by. I don't think Marvin won that fight. Like, with all due respect to Marvin, I don't think he won that fight. I think Costa won that fight, to be honest with you. Because it looked like Marvin took more damage, to be honest. So, but Costa against Chimaev is going to be a really crazy fight. I think Costa will win. And if Costa does win, I would honestly rather see Costa versus Adesanya than number 2 in a 3-rounder as the co-main to Dricus versus Strickland than anything else. Because, let me explain why. Okay? Costa had a really bad night against Izzy. Okay? Costa's had to train, improve himself. You can see how Costa's gone through a bit of a transformation. He's a different person these days. He's acting different. He's gotten humbled now. Now he's got a different perspective of things. And honestly, I think that seeing how Costa will handle Izzy in a 3-round fight the second time around is more interesting than seeing Izzy versus Strickland. Because we already know exactly what happened in Izzy versus Strickland 1. And it's like, Strickland's not going to change up his style. So what's Izzy going to do to counter it? I mean, what's going to change? Is Izzy going to knock him out? What's going to happen? I don't know. Is Izzy going to find a way to not make him check kicks? Like, what's going to happen? Like, how are we going to... Like, Strickland hasn't even grappled Izzy. He didn't grapple him one time in the fight. What happens if he starts bringing the grappling? What's going to happen? Is Izzy going to somehow, become a black belt champion, like, in the next, 6 months, and then when Strickland goes to ground, Izzy's going to, like, tap him out? He's going to just get, like, subbed or whatever. Like, is he going to dominate Sean on the ground? What's going to happen? I don't understand. Like, how is Izzy going to beat Strickland? It's the same thing with, like, Usman versus Edwards too. Like, Edwards knew exactly what he did wrong in the first fight to get dominated for those rounds that he didn't win, right? Usman versus Edwards too, arguably Usman should have won. Easy. But Edwards used his tools and was able to control the fight enough to get the decision. And, like they say, a champion has to get taken out. You can't just edge a champion. You got to really take the belt from the champion. So, for Izzy to actually go and take the belt from Strickland, it has to be like a Pereira situation where he's going to TKO Strickland, which is not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. He's not going to TKO Strickland. How is he going to fix the leg kick issue? I don't know. How is he going to fix the grappling issue when Strickland starts to grapple? I don't know. Like, how is Izzy going to win the fight? I don't think he's going to win the fight. I'm sorry. I just don't think he is. I think it's just Strickland's his kryptonite. It sucks, but it is what it is. That's how it is. I'm pretty confident, okay? I would rather see Izzy versus Costa too. Because if Izzy is able to dismantle Costa again, then it's like, okay, Izzy deserves the fight for sure. Izzy vs Chimaev would also be an insanely interesting fight, especially if Chimaev dominates Costa. If Chimaev is able to sub Costa, tell me you don't want to see Chimaev fight Izzy. Please tell me, because if you do, you're lying. Like, if Chimaev manages to tap out Costa in like the first round or absolutely dominate him, TKO him, whatever, tell me you wouldn't be interested to see Chimaev versus Izzy, because that would be an insane fight. Like, what would happen? Like, how would that go? Because that would be crazy. Like, crazy. I think Dricus versus Strickland is a really fun fight. I think that's the fight to make. Dricus just TKO'd Robert Whittaker. Who that beats Whittaker doesn't go for the belt. Like, Whittaker was like the gatekeeper. Like, the clear number one contender for the longest time. And you're telling me that the guy that almost beat Adesanya arguably could have beaten him in their rematch. I think it was the beginning of this year. You're telling me Whittaker can't. I think it was last year, end of the last year, or whatever. So you're telling me Whittaker getting beaten by Dricus and that's not enough for Dricus to get a title shot? Are you insane? Like, Chael Sonnen, I'm sorry, man, but like, I love Chael Sonnen, Uncle Chael, but like, no, that's crazy. Like, Dricus not showing up at the main event, in my opinion, was actually a good thing. Because to me, when it's someone like Kai Kara France, who, pulls out of the Manel Cup fight, and then shows up in the crowd, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why are you there? Like, you're claiming you got injured, and now you can't fight, and now you're in the crowd just, like, enjoying yourself? Like, what? Like, if Dricus' issue was really a slight injury, and that he wasn't prepared enough, and that 8 weeks wasn't enough time to prep for Izzy, which is completely fair, because let's be honest, the reason why Izzy was cheering Dricus on against Robert is because Izzy wanted Dricus to beat Robert because he was prepping for Dricus. More than likely, he was anticipating a Dricus fight. Izzy wanted Dricus on 8 weeks notice. Right? Now, I'm not saying Izzy's a scared person or whatever. I'm just saying, like, Izzy wanting Dricus on 8 weeks notice is kind of like it. It's not really fair, is it? Like, it's not really fair. It kind of, that kind of looks like a dodge to me. Like, that kind of looks like a dodge to me. Like, let's be honest. Like, he wanted Strickland. Like, why would you call for the number 5 ranked guy? Like, come on, man. Like, you could have called for anyone. Like, come on. Like, what's happening here, dude? Like, let's just be honest. Like, there was a storyline. Strickland was making fun of Izzy and all that anime bullshit and whatever. Like, look, Strickland wasn't the favorite to win that fight by any means. He wasn't even the number 1 contender. So, like, why did Izzy want Strickland? Like, what was going on there? Like, I don't know. With all due respect to their camp, but what's going on there? Because it is weird. Like, from a non-fighting perspective, from like just a logical perspective, what's going on there? Like, why do you want the clear number 1 rank contender at 8 weeks notice, who says he has a nagging injury? And 8 weeks is not a long time for a fighter to prep for a fight, especially when it's someone as good as Adesanya. Like, that's not a long time. Remember, people prep for championship fights for like a year. Sometimes the champion fight will be like, that'll be like lined up for like a whole, 12 months sometimes. Like, sometimes it takes all 12 months for it to transpire, right? So why do you want Dricus in 8 weeks? That's insanely quick notice. Dricus had no reason to take that fight, okay? No reason at all, right? So, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Why challenge Strickland? Unless you thought that you were going to beat him, like, clear. Unless you thought that Strickland was just not on his level. Why would he want to fight Strickland? Like, why? I don't get it. So, to me personally, I think Dricus vs Strickland is actually the fight to make. Because, please, understand, like, Strickland's style, we've seen against Izzy. Dricus has grappling. So, it means Strickland can't just pull into grappling. So it's likely going to be another stand-up fight, which is nice to watch. It's an exciting matchup. Because we know Dricus and Strickland are not going to crotch sniff. Like, they're going to probably strike. They're probably going to strike it out and see what happens, right? And we know that Dricus, when Dricus starts to feel himself, he starts to go for it. He starts to throw hands. And Strickland likes to throw hands too. And honestly, I think Strickland vs Dricus will be a fun fight. And I think it'll be a really interesting test for Strickland and a really interesting test for Dricus. I think it'll be a great fight. Okay, a great fight. I don't want to see Strickland vs Izzy 2 and Dricus versus Chimaev, or like Dricus versus Costa. Like, fuck that. That is not going to be a fun fight. I'm sorry, okay? Strickland versus Chimaev, Drickus versus Chimaev, for example, that would literally be a case of, is Drickus's like grappling as good as Costa and Izzy's grappling defense and Izzy's range control? Probably not. Like, Drickus will probably get taken down easier than Costa will against Chimaev. So Drickus is more susceptible to getting choked out. I love Drickus, but he's probably more susceptible to getting choked out than Costa, to be honest with you. Like, I think he probably is. I'm not saying Costa's a better practitioner because he's Brazilian, but I'm just saying I think that Costa would probably be harder to get in the ground and control and tap out than Drickus would be. And I think that Costa would be better suited to handling Chimaev's style than Drickus would be. I think that Drickus against Chimaev, I would probably say Chimaev is more favored to beat Drickus in a fight between the two of them. I think Costa versus Drickus is probably going to be Drickus winning, but I don't know because Costa might not go down, and then Costa's volume will probably... I don't know. I feel like making a Drickus versus Costa Chimaev fight would be a big mistake for the matchmakers. I think that Drickus versus Strickland is the fight to make. I think that's the fight the fans want to see. It's a fight the fans will really enjoy. It's going to be a really interesting fight between two alpha males, two, like, you know, fucking proper knucklehead dudes who are going to just, like, you know, throw hands. I think it'll be a fun title fight. I think it's something that's been missing for a while. I think that's why Pantoja versus Moreno was such a brilliant fight, because we were expecting something else, and when we got that fight, it was beautiful to watch. Like, Pantoja wanted that belt. He wanted that belt, and Moreno was game. Moreno was like, okay, you want my belt? Like, I'm not going out with a fight. And they slugged it out, man. That was a brilliant fight. So similar to like Carp versus Felipe Dos Santos. Like, brilliant. Like, two guys that really wanna win, and they're willing to slug it out, and it was a brilliant fight. I'm not saying that like brawls are always the best fights, but I think that Drickus versus Strickland is the fight to make. I think it's gonna be really interesting. I think Izzy versus Chimaev or Izzy versus Costa 2 would be a brilliant undercard fight. I think that would be insane, especially if Izzy can dominate whoever those are, because whichever one wins of the two, of Costa and Chimaev, Izzy dominating one of them would literally be like, okay, Izzy is crazy. Like, if Izzy is able to conquer Chimaev, someone that people have wanted to fight for a longest time. And remember, Chimaev beating Costa is not enough for Chimaev to title fight. So if Izzy got the title back, Chimaev probably wouldn't be next in line. Honestly, like, I don't think Drickus will even end up fighting Costa Chimaev. I think Drickus will fight soon. I think Drickus will fight like Cannonier or a Vittori. I actually thought Drickus should challenge Vittori if he has to, because I think Drickus has got Vittori pretty comfortably. With all due respect to Marvin, I think Drickus has got Vittori pretty comfortably. I think he's going to outstrike Marvin. I think he'll be able to handle his grappling. I think Drickus will handle Marvin just fine, and I think that beating Marvin will get Drickus that fight against whoever is champion. But I don't think we want to see that. I think we're better off seeing a fight like Chimaev versus Izzy before that fight becomes too difficult to make down the line. We have Chimaev in his prime. We have Izzy in his prime still. They're both still quite young. It's better to make the fight now. Make it now before it's like way too late. We might never get to see Chimaev versus Izzy. Think about this. Chimaev has a good chance to beat Costa. And if he beats Costa, that fight against Izzy will be such a draw. It'll be like, wow, who's gonna win? Like, it's a nail biter. It's like, who do you put money on? Because, like, what do you do, right? And Izzy vs Costa 2 would be so fun too, because it's like, okay, if Costa can get the better of Chimaev, now it's like, okay, so Costa's really worked on his game. He's really improved. He beat this crazy test in Chimaev. Can Costa beat Izzy? And it'll be another crazy draw, especially in the 3-round fight. And then you have, like I said, Strickland versus Drickus, and that'll be insane. I think that's what they should be doing. Whichever card they want to put that belt on the line at, right? Drickus versus Strickland. Drickus will be ready. There'll be no excuses. He'll have more than enough time. He'll be completely recovered. And I'm sure he's happy to fight Strickland. And we'll have Izzy versus Chimaev or Costa. And that'll be an incredible incredible co-main. It'll be an insane co-main event. It'll literally... The co-main and the main event will literally be like two matchups that, literally a fucking fight fan's wet dream.